All right, everybody. So today's a weird one. We've had some storms here in the area, and the power was out for a bit. Um, Last night, our internet also went out. All right. Yeesh. All right. I wasn't sure if my mic was on or not, so I'll repeat it again just in case it wasn't, because I'm not sure if it was on or not. But yeah, today is gonna be slightly more difficult stream. We had power outages earlier today. Internet's been out since last night. It came back for a little bit and then just went back out. So I'm currently actually streaming over a tethered connection on my phone. So it's a nice test. Uh, so far stats look good, but unfortunately, just to keep that I don't want to add to the drop frames or anything here, so I'm trying to remove as many of the active elements on the stream itself. So right now, the chat is still visible, but I don't have the music on. I'm not gonna have any of the notifications on, so that audio is not popping in through. Well, let's see. This may be a little more dull than the streams in the past, but I would recommend if you have music, now's a good time to use it. I may overlay some audio tracks on it in post and maybe post it as an edited video on my YouTube channel. So I'm gonna get up really quick. I have some reference I'm gonna be drawing from. I would love to be able to show that because it's some old like vintage illustration reference books that I'm gonna be using. But I guess I'll have to post that later, and I guess I can segue from there to um, talking about the coffee account. I've mentioned that before, I know, but it's now I'm fully gonna be using it a lot more. I'm posting um, blog updates on it, and I'll be posting more images through it. And I'll definitely post some of the reference images that I'll use on through the coffee post. So give me one moment. I'm gonna get those and I'll get started because today is gonna be an animal sketch day. All right, so there are 3 books I'll be using today, or that I'll try to use today. I'm not sure if I'll use all of them, but I'm just gonna page through and look for some images. I would prefer, obviously, to use a book of animal photos. And I know I have one somewhere, but tend to be a bit of a pack rat. And I have the one that I mentioned is it's a reference book that these were reference books that were mainly made and used for illustrators to use for references when making designs. So in this case, this is a series of 3,800 early advertising cuts. These are all lithography and etchings, so it's really nice. Just as a picture book. Most of these books I got, believe it or not, at the back of a library where people will drop off books that either the library didn't accept as donation, or maybe the library put out there to either toss or discard, or maybe just people dropped them off in the back because they knew that people frequent that area to pick up things that are normally left there, because it's a very well-known thing that people will just drop off books there. So you normally see people driving around and looking to see what's there. But these particular books, there was one day that I passed by this library to see what they had, and it looks like either an illustrator dropped them off or possibly a print agency, because there were some other books that were more business oriented. So I'm not entirely sure. It could have been a freelancer, could have been an entire business, but they dropped a lot of illustration references and I snatched those up. So I'm gonna look really quickly here. I want to make sure. There's definitely a lot of animals, lots of fish, lots of birds. It looks like birds were very popular back at the time, like for illustrations, for embellishments around books. It's funny because there's a lot of illustrations of animals that you can tell the illustrator had never looked at one of them before, and maybe only heard or seen at other illustrations of like lions or tigers, and the illustrations they're slightly off. But I think I'm gonna start today with horses, only because I haven't drawn horses much. I don't think I've ever drawn a horse like really taken time, so I want to make sure I get some of those references in and get some of that practice in. So make sure I have everything here. Drawing glove on. Now I'll do a little bit of a plug. Drawing these specifically for a challenge in a Discord that I participate in, called Sketch Zone, where I looked them up on Discord. Pretty nice, nifty group of artists. It is a closed server. It is limited to people that are either semi-professional or professional, meaning they're either making their money solely from being an artist, or have higher quality work, know their fundamentals, and also there is an application process to get in. Mine took a little over a day, and I was freaking out because I didn't think I was gonna get accepted, but it was my fault for submitting only cartoons. But yeah, they're doing a challenge for the month to draw an alien pet shop, and working up to that is drawing from references. So unfortunately, because I have internet issues, I cannot access the Pinterest board where those references are housed. So I'm not gonna try to do that right now. I tried getting into it earlier and I was unable to, so I figured I'd just put that aside and maybe just try to go with some of my references, as long as at least for this practice, the drawings are going to be or the topics are just strange animals. No, these are the strangest ones I have, so this is what we'll go for. So And when sketching, it's a good idea to break down your subject into shapes, general geometric shapes, especially if you're drawing something that maybe you have difficulty with, or you've never drawn before. But also it's very important to compare distances and use that as part of your reference. Now, I've probably drawn a horse. I'm not gonna say I've never ever drawn a horse. I know if I really look through all my sketchbooks, maybe I have, but taken my time to draw a horse that looks realistic, I don't think I've done that. I've probably drawn a silly looking cartoon horse before, but nothing like this. They have this very round sort of jowl here, back of the jaw. Very strong muscles. Oh, good. I didn't realize there's two versions of this actually. There's the reference that I'm looking at, there's one looking to the right and another one looking to the left. Now I'm not breaking it down in as many shapes as possible because when you gain enough practice and enough experience sketching, you sort of know already where, like, what tricks you're good with and what tricks you tend to follow. For me, one of them is distance, so visually I'm constantly measuring, for example, and I'll pick another color here to highlight that. For example, I'm looking at the distance in this part and the distance between, or how that distance relates to this part. So from the reference that I'm looking at, I'm considering that these two distances are pretty similar. And you guys can't see, but I do have a pencil over the reference book right now, just to sort of get an idea of these vertical lines. And I know that there's a small space here, and there's a space about the width of the pencil between here and here. So that gives me that reference point of, okay, where do I draw this, the tip of the nose? I'm also looking at the angle that this comes in. There's sort of a line going down here. And then there's another line, smaller line here, and you can tell it's from the other nostril coming in. So I'll actually leave these up, lower opacity, so that if that's something that interests you, you can look at that. And I may have, oh, wrong layer. There we go. I may have made this angle a little too far out, as in this way as opposed to that way. But I can correct that. And then there's a nostril here, another one there. Now the eye placement, I can see that from here to here, eye's about right along the middle here. And it's sort of located, the center of the eye is located right above this area. Now because this is an etching, it's obviously a lot of lines that will, and cross hatchings that will be used to indicate depth, but I can see that. They're displaying some of that here. This horse has a mane. It's not as defined as I'm making it out to be. And then there's the ear here. There's another patch of hair here. So hair there. Alright. I drew a horse head, which I've never drawn before. Not sure how accurate the original drawing of the horse head I got is, but there's a funny looking mouth here on the etching that I'm referencing. Nope, it's too big. I really like this sort of scratch board method, where you maybe draw a little more than you need, but you take away some of that. I like the results of it a lot. All right. Oh, I just I'm so glad I don't have the camera on. I just had the instinct to zoom in on the reference image with my fingers by pinching outward. Ugh. How embarrassing. All right, there's a nice frontal profile here of a donkey that I want to draw as well. There. This is a little tighter. I like them a little tightened up. So let's I'm not sure if I should. I think I'm gonna work my way through this color wheel. I like doing that. So let's erase that. And I think just for to explain it and to show the method I had discussed earlier, I'm gonna actually work through the shapes this time. Just want to verify one thing, because I preemptively ordered food without realizing the time I was gonna get it on, so I just want to make sure that I can go if I have to go pick it up yet. Okay, so I'll go. Actually, I'll take that break right now and go and get that before I go any further, so that I'm not missing out on these delicious subs that I just bought. But at the same time, I just got a message from my internet service provider that there is a chance that I may be getting my my internet restored sooner than later. So that's a good sign. I'll take a quick break, and hopefully, maybe when I get back, maybe it will be restored. That would be great. Oh, don't want to lose my page here. Come on. There it is. There's my donkey. So let's say 15-minute break. I will be back by 8:15. All right, I'll be back. Alright, it looks like I actually have to head back because the place didn't have my food ready yet. Luckily it's literally right around the corner, so. But they're pretty packed, so. Told me at least another 30 minutes. What a bummer. If I had gotten everybody's selections before, I would have been able to put it in time. Alright. So I can sketch out that donkey in less than 30 seconds. Should be able to do two donkeys. Alright, so this donkey does have a sillier face. Let me see if I can get a photo at least of this to use as reference. Should be not too tough. Okay, so we'll just oh. Oh, I wasn't sure if that would be visible. No. Interesting. I like the fact that the camera was blocked. Okay. There's the camera. Here we go. That's the donkey. Let me try to take a photo of the entire page. Let me get a little wonky there on the display. So you can at least see the horse that I also drew. Now I feel like those people that take photos with their iPad. Alright. Let me lock that rotation so it's not going around crazy anymore. So here is my donkey reference. And like I said, I'm gonna draw him. I'm gonna do the shapes out so you guys can see him. So at least in this top part, I can see. Let me minimize that. This top part, I can see a bit of a triangle. It's not very even. His left eye goes up. And from this area here to a little above halfway, that's where the ears start. This one's a little higher. But the base of them is pretty much the same. And if you look at the angle here and the angle from the ear, they're not parallel. There's a bit of a difference there, so I'll just do some light sketching here. Got that here. This one kind of perks up a little bit more than the other one. It also becomes wider, much wider here. Now there's this shape here to where the eyes are. and this sort of odd sideways look. Here. This pretty much goes straight down before it becomes a nostril here. And there's the center line. Second line here for that. And the nostril sort of, middle of it, sort of matches to where the neck shows up from. And the eye sort of in the middle of this area. With the neck coming out of here and to the side. So now that I have those basic shapes drawn, and on paper, this would be very lightly sketched, and then I would go over it with a much more detailed line. Much finer line, a lot less sketch. I always thought they had such beautiful eyes. They're very, almost like human-like. Kind of very intense. Not just donkeys, just horses in general. There we go. We have the upper lip here. And the lower lip. And the etching, this is much darker. And then you have the neckline. This other eye line. Let's go. Now this is that wonky eye. But if you look at it, they're not. They're parallel. What's off is this sort of like brow bone here, which looks much higher on one side than it does on the other. But the eyes themselves are pretty much straight on a line. There we go. And this part's a little darker. And that's where it gets weird. This weird bulge here on the top. Alright, I'm sure if I'm super happy with this part. I translated it right. I'm gonna darken this part. Kind of lost the wheel right now to do the etching. I think I'm too focused on making it look like an etching right now than making it look like what I'm referencing, which it's not necessarily what I should be working on. Just making sure that I'm getting the animal down. Okay, there's some muscles there. I'm just gonna do a light scratch here for the rest of it. Just erase here in the areas where there is the white. Same here. Alright, they do have more of a shorter, spikier mane here. That's what I love about this brush. You can put it sideways and you get that very similar feel to drawing with a pencil sideways. Speaking of, this is a brush I personally created. You can, here's the entire set. So I have a sketching pencil, a liner, a shader. This second liner is actually for writing, and then that's just for fills. And I use this one because I like the texture that you get with it, which is very similar to the others. But I will more likely than not put this setup, and this is all based on this 6B pencil, which is the default, one of the defaults included in Procreate. But I will make all of those available on my Ko-fi account. My Ko-fi page. Kofi. All right, let me erase this one just so I get an idea of what my donkey's starting to look like. Turn it sideways here and so we can get some darker valleys here. Nah, it's a donkey. Should give him beautiful eyes. Oh yeah, this is way darker. With some white here on the fringes. That's important because they actually do have donkey's ears do tend to be a little lighter colored towards the edges. And then there's these. Not sure how. Oh, so I think I'm at least done with this as a sketch. And yeah, that took right about the 30-minute mark. So now we got a horse and a donkey. Let's see. Let's see what other interesting creatures are here that I can draw. There's some goats here in the corner. Not sure if I want to use those. That's a very small reference. There's some funny looking horses here. That one, yeah. It looks like a dog. I was thinking about drawing this one, but at least I know that the reference photo here is really dark. Much darker than what I'm looking at in paper. That one's very, very much an etching. But I think I'm good with horses for now. Let me see if I can look for another reference. Oh, deer are nice. All right, so for the next one, I'll do a deer. And I'll keep this here. Let me multiply, put it over this one, and move it right over. So that anybody looking can get a good idea of what this is. So the next one, I'm not gonna put the reference image up just because I like the screen real estate. Next one's gonna be, I'm going for a reindeer. I'm gonna try to draw this one quick because I'll get up again. I'll take another break to see if I can pick up my food, which was supposed to be ready a long time ago, and I ordered literally an hour and a half ago. So let's see how quickly I can sketch this out. So let's go with some loose shapes this time, because I know I did some much more straighter shapes, and I talked about how as you gain experience you do tend to understand more shortcuts and understand shapes and figures a little more. So at least for this one, what I'll do is I'll try to show something more closer to like a simplified version of what I did for this donkey. And actually, I forget, instead of using this, I should have canvas up as part of the reference so that you're able to see the full picture. I do this every time and I can't believe I forgot this time. There we go. And I'll put this over here so it's not interfering with my hand. Okay. Now we're good. Alright, so this is on the right layer. And I'll use a contrasting color, or simple, well, it's not the one that I'm using for the final sketch, but these are the shapes that I would normally draw, and just loosely. Again, still looking at my reference image, still considering angles, distances, and that's how I'm picking up on placement for body parts, where I'm gonna put the antlers, what the distance between the antlers is. It helps that this is something that I've never really drawn before, because I'm not drawing from memory, because that tends to happen to a lot of otherwise very good artists, where they'll still they'll draw from memory. They'll draw what they think an animal looks like, or a person looks like, or an object looks like. And what happens with that is, because you're not paying attention to your reference, because you're not paying attention to what is visually in front of you, instead you go with what's, I guess, in your inner eye, you end up with a much more distorted image than what you'd hope for. So it's just okay. This is just more what I would have done recently, although more so now I'm trying a less sketching prior. Just trying to see if I can push myself to get to not using sketches. I know that tends to be seen as a pro move, but I don't know. I just think it's cool. So let's see here. There's a considerable distance between these, and I don't think I've captured that. So this is supposed to be here. Maybe I'm just drawing it so much bigger than my reference image. Oh no, this is way off. So see, now I'm looking at the placement of this antler in comparison to the nose, and at least in the reference image, this antler is considerably past the nose location, even though it's at the same height as this little peak. but it should be here. So let's erase this. And this is gonna be there. This antler kind of, at least on the etching that I'm looking at, looks like it melds into the ear, even though I know it doesn't. Let me move it. So I'm gonna make it a little smaller because this guy's antlers are pretty big, pretty large and in charge. And now this height is almost doubled for the top of the antlers reach. And there's this little peak that comes off here, and another one here. And this goes here. You got another peak here. Look at this massive antler buddy. And I'm gonna do this left one. This left one looks like it's actually lower. And if I were to compare it to the one on the right, to make sure I have the right height, these antlers end actually at about this height. So I'm gonna draw a line as a reference point there. And it goes out about double this width, so about to here. Now I'm gonna, let's see, it goes here. This little bit sort of follows this curve of the ear. And it matches the same height as this antler, or this peak on the antler. And now you have this other much bigger curve here. It's a little organic, that's not that straight. This peak, meaning here, a third one, or the middle one here that reaches to the top. And then you have this other one that sort of meets it, but not quite. And these two seem to end higher, or start higher than this one. And then it goes here. And then there. And I actually think I may have moved this a little too far out to the right. So I'm actually gonna, to the left. So I'm gonna move it to the right there. Yeah. It's not that much. I'm just being anal here. Okay. So there's my reindeer. There's my reindeer. This ear may be a little bigger. And now that I have this general shape, I can start sort of figuring out some of the details here. And there's this jawline here. And another jaw there. There's a line that goes down the middle. And it's like, sort of like the bridge of the nose. And these have sort of like a tear shape. And definitely different than the ones for the horses and the donkey. There's a lot of little bumpy bumps here. And because it's an etching, this whole part, which should be first just lines. But that's not the final sketch. That's still just a quick overlay. So I'm gonna get up and go pick up my food at the corner really quick. So I'll be back in maybe 10 minutes. Be right back. 10 minutes at, let's see, it's 8:42. That's 8. Let's say 8:55. All right, let's just be safe. Okay, so I'll be right back. And then I'll go do the lines for this one and maybe pick another reference picture to sketch from. All right, back in a moment. All right, 8:55, y'all. That was perfect. I was able to go get my sandwich, eat a little bit of my sandwich. I love sandwiches. All right. While I was stuffing my face, I did also start looking for other references, and there's this really, really nice full page etching of a pigeon. So it's probably gonna what I'll be doing next. But I don't want to get stuck in this book. I do want to also look at the other reference books I have. The other two, sort of a hit and miss. So one of them is just a collection of famous paintings. Not many animals to draw from there. Most of them are like Renaissance paintings, and I'll probably have to really page through it to find something good. So I'm actually gonna skip that one. But the other book is a very, very interesting illustration, sort of mythical, biological log of creatures called Fairies, illustrated by Brian Front and Alan Lee. It's a beautiful book. It's gorgeous. Also, one of those books that I found. Just found. So we're outlining. I'm not gonna go through the full etching effect on this one. Just want to get some defined lines. I'm gonna try my best not to erase. I may undo every once in a while because this pen does sometimes sort of wig out on me, and I'm not sure if it's the pencil or if it's the angle that I hold it on, but every once in a while it sort of registers it as if it'll register it as if I'm drawing on the side, and it'll blow out my lines. I think that just may be a pen connection issue. You'll see it. I'll point it out. We're gonna draw this little ear here. Oh, this is a mistake that I will erase right after I said I wasn't gonna erase. This doesn't connect until this part. This ear narrows down. You get a little bumpy there. Another bumpy's right here. And they did the sick line here to indicate the lip, or at least that mouth opening. It goes up and down. This eye is weird. Assuming because isn't that almost blocked the shape of the face. goat eyes are weird though. We've looked at a goat eye before. Deer eyes, I don't think are too different. Maybe I haven't looked at enough deer. Maybe I need to look at more deer. This part, the etching doesn't make it clear. I can't tell if the antler goes on top of or behind the ear, so I'm just gonna draw it on top of the ear. So that's what it looks like, at least from some of the directional lines there. So the lines go that way. And back to, oh, let me fix that there. Yeah, it goes down. And it goes here, and then you have this. Yeah. Stub my toe really lightly. Okay. It's really interesting. I don't know if anybody's seen those nature docs where they show their shedding, the antler shedding. It's pretty, it always looks so much more brutal than what it possibly is. Oh, this is actually way smaller. I actually sort of confused these two. And I drew the left one smaller than it should have been, and the right one bigger. There. That's closer. Still not super close, but it's closer. And it has just these are lines that I feel like are needed to give more indication of certain textures. And just that the 3D element of this deer's head, you know, where things are. And where the muscles are. So I'm not just giving it texture, I'm giving it depth. Now, I'm not getting much from the reference, but I'm making do. I think some real photo reference would be better. But I don't got that right now. And I risk really slowing down my connection if I start looking it up, so I'm not gonna do that. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna leave it pretty light. Or maybe just remove it altogether. There's one difference that I did notice, and that is that my eyes are way lower than the image, and yet I like mine's more than the image that I'm referencing, because the other one's like, it's way too stretched out. So I will keep mine as is. Also because I think that's way too big of a change to make right now. So we got 3 animal sketches so far. A donkey, a horse, and a deer. Let's group these. Deer. No, deer. Yep. And donkey. And horse. So we got our quadrupeds down. Let's get some burbs here. There we go. This one I'm gonna draw as I drew that first horse. I'm just gonna draw it. Let's fit our little reference image here. Make it a little bigger. And there we go. Actually, gonna move this horse up a little bit. And this donkey, move to the right. Now this is gonna be a pigeon. Oh, wait a second. I'm just looking at the caption here on the pages, and it does say insects. I wasn't sure if it did have insects or not. Let me just check here. See pigs, goats, rams, workhorses, fruits, cows, bulls. What's that? Those? No, chickens. Oh, here are the bugs. Maybe I will draw some bugs after this. All right. What is interesting though is this cheek shape on all these animals. It's very similar. You get to really notice. This is why it's good studying from reference. As true to real life as possible, because you do understand more of the anatomy of what you're working with, and that anatomy helps you build so that whenever you do something from imagination, it makes sense and it's understandable and it's a readable image. By making sure that you're drawing something that sort of has some precedent, like it's not out of nowhere, it's not just out of the blue. Alright, so gotta let my speedy neighbors drive along. I don't know if you can hear them. Alright, let's I'm wondering whether I should draw these full pigeons or the smaller pigeons. I think I'll just draw these big old pigeon. But I'm not gonna draw them as big as I see them on the paper. Definitely not full page. I try to make them fit. It's a very uniform, very smooth sort of line. There's not much of a definition here in my reference image as to where or how the beak goes. There are other images, so I think I'll use those instead. At least for the beak. So there's not much of a clarity here. It looks like the upper beak is shorter than the lower beak. And it's sort of does a thing like that. And the chest here sort of outstretches. Oh, where is? Oh, I see. Different layer. There we go. Let's move this up. So, no guides this time. But as I'm looking at the reference, I know that this part sort of meets this part. As far as how far it sticks. And I'm following a very similar angle here to the back. Which means the back will come to about here. And then circle there. You have wing that starts out here. This is a little sketchier than my other ones. Now, it's very similar to how I did that horse, but I did tighten it after, so that's pretty much what I'm going to do here. This is almost parallel to the floor, but it's not. It's slightly angle here. And this sort of follows this same curve here, but a little stretched out. And until you get to where the legs start, which is halfway down the wing. You have one leg. You got the other leg. Well, this pigeon's gonna be a big boy. Let's actually make him a little bit smaller because now we're getting into fighting territory. This pigeon's bigger than these horses. This curve is a little more rounded, not as narrow as I drew it. Goes here. And then you have one tiny birdie foot toe. And another tiny birdie toe. And another birdie toe back there. This one goes down a little more downward. This leg here is thicker than this one on the reference, so I'll just stick with that. But this toe, this toe is actually ends closer to the middle of this foot. Since actually I drew it a little shorter. Let's go back. And this one ends here by the back of that. And there are two here. There's this one and this one that's a little hidden. This is, I think I drew them a little too thick, but I will fix that out later. Actually, let me just sideways. Since it is the rear leg, which sort of moves here, and you have this bottom part there. This wing goes out here. And the tail angles down there. And this is really making me think of them more as raptors than anything. Tiny dinosaurs. Teeny tiny dinosaurs. Now I'm not gonna do the crazy etching designs that this guy has done on these. And actually mine may be a little bit longer than his, so let's see if I can sort of tackle that in there. I do want to make this head a little rounder though. Not sure if I want to just lightly. Yeah, I think I'll just lightly shade it. I'll go crazy with the etching on this one. Those ones are big. And I know me. Know how obsessed I'm gonna get with making it look detailed. I don't want to do that right now. So I'm supposed to be doing quick sketches. And these, I think I'll use that one. There we go. these feathers. Man, I could get lost in these feathers. But I'm not. I've drawn birds before. I love drawing birds, but I get lost in them. All right. Oh no, I'm doing detail again. Shoot. Okay, hold on. Just clear this up. Undo the eye. And we got a little bam. We got a little ojito. Wow, look at this little pretty pigeon. Okay. I'm done. This pigeon's so much larger than life. Alright, let's see, it's 9:30. Thank you. Yeah, that's, horses are weird. Never drawn horses until today. Or at least I think I haven't. I'll have to look into it. Don't quote me on those claims. Alright, so let's rename this. Pigeon. And we're gonna do for my next piece. Oh, that's weird. Just saw the Twitch sort of overlay kind of went a little cuckoo. So, you know what? Let me actually. Let's get that out. And I may make this a little bigger. We're going out of the bounds of the stream layout, okay? Special day. It's a special day of no internet and having to rig things out. I'm trying to make sure this sort of fits on the screen. All right. That's a little bigger. Should maybe just do full screen. Okay. Let's do a bug. Let's see what bug I got here. Salmon. Whoever owned this book before wrote salmon next to an etching of a salmon. And I say salmon because in Spanish you say salmon. So I'm so used to saying salmon. And people telling me that's not how you say it. Man, there's some really tiny etchings of owls here that look really silly. Oh man. There's a lot of bugs. There's flies, mosquitoes, beetles, bees, wasps, many different types of flies, many different types of butterflies, caterpillars. Oh, there's these funny little looking things here. Oh, not drawing a spider, not drawing a tick. Grosso. Okay, I'll do this dragonfly. It's a little upsetting that assuming they didn't really know what they were looking at, or whoever etched this out maybe didn't have a very good reference, but the wings are a little not that great. Try to fit this. Here. Fun fact, bugs are how I kind of got into drawing. It's before, when I was very little. I used to draw a lot of Sailor Moon. That's sort of like the gateway drug into art. And, as in science class growing up, we were asked to draw, I think it was just like we were drawing invertebrates and invertebrates. And in one of those assignments, I drew, and it wasn't even part of the assignment, it was just to have it as reference. Part of our notes, like we had to illustrate our own notes. And I drew a crab. And I based it off of one of the drawings that the teacher gave us. And I did such a good job, apparently, that the teacher was like, who helped you with this? You know, if your parents did that for you, you're gonna get in trouble. Your parents can't be doing your homework. Sorry, it wasn't more like if your parents did that. It was like, no, your parents did it, you're in trouble. My parents had to come in and explain, no, she did that herself. And I was like in maybe second or third grade. And I got such a kick out of that. Getting in trouble for it's so good. And that's when I peaked. And I'm gonna live off that high for the rest of my life. I've drawn at least of reference dragonfly wings before, and I sort of wish these were a little bit more true to form and a little nicer. I'll do my best to get them true to form, but I'm trying to stick to my reference. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe it's not even a dragonfly. Maybe it's a different species, and this would be correct for that species, but it doesn't sit right with me. So I'm gonna complain about it. Because I'm a terrible person. Okay. Legs. Move the little things. There's another pair of legs here. I'm gonna do sound effects from now on. Another pair of arms here. Got the eyes. And it's all little ridges. Bloop, 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 bloop. It's another ridge here. Bloop. And then it's just segments, 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 segments. It's a little bit of a thing here. And there's some, I know their antennae aren't that short, but that's how short they are here. Or maybe they are. I don't know. What do I know? So at least for today, because I'm starting to see some issues pop up on the stream, and I'm not sure if that's just, I know my cell phone provider will sometimes throttle on my internet during high use time, so I don't know if that's the case now, but I am starting to see some drop frames. So I apologize if the quality drops down a bit, but if that's the case, I'll probably end the stream maybe a little sooner. I know I usually go until 10, but maybe 15 minutes short. You know, maybe until 9:45. I'm gonna try to end this one quickly. Actually, I'll just use the same color. That's what I mean. See, it's. I know I was using it a little bit sideways, but there's no reason for the pen to go out that much. I don't know if that's my brush settings, or maybe just how I'm using the pen. Pen connection. Sometimes it wigs out like that. Thing about bugs is segments, that's for sure. Exoskeletons are very time consuming. There's no connection segments on this one. I don't know if that's the view or just how the artist interpreted this, but it kind of just comes out of the bottom or underside. I'm assuming this is a view from a very exaggerated top. Could have been from one of those display cases. Where people collect dead bugs. I always wanted one of those. All right. Yeah, they didn't. I mean, it's hard. I know it's hard to get a good look at these without the right tools, so I don't blame them, but it's a very minimalistic interpretation of a dragonfly. Wing time! I think I made the one there on the left a little more bulbous than the one on the right. Dragonfly, dragonfly. Alright, almost done with it. Wow, no symmetry tools. Not symmetrical, but no symmetry tools. Wow. Did want to draw something from the fairy book, but I will probably leave that for another stream. One where I can actually show the reference because that fairy book is gorgeous and I really am curious as to how symmetrical my wings are. So let's try this out. Okay. If this goes well, it's gonna be a highlight. Dun 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 dun. Wow, not symmetrical. Well, the top curve's not that bad. Wings are a little skewed, but the top wings aren't that bad. It's like he's dancing. I can't do it. Yeah, definitely. Now I can definitely see it how this one is much lower than the other one. But I say close enough. That's not bad. I did okay. Kind of give myself a pat in the back and recognize when I've exceeded my current skills, which I gotta say I've gotten better. Practice does help. I can honestly say that much. All right. Apologies again for the condition of the stream. Today was supposed to be a little more engaging. There was supposed to be a little more music. I was gonna have my face shown. But still having issues. The internet is not restored. Thank you, Comcast. Hopefully, hopefully that issue is resolved over the weekend because I work from home most of the time. Tomorrow, I was gonna go to the office anyways, but well, that's the problem. So, but yes, if you want to continue to support my work, please follow me on whichever platform you're watching right now. So if you're on YouTube, give me a follow or YouTube, or give a like. If you're on Twitch, give me a like, give me a follow. You can also support me by following me on my other social medias. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, but I'm not too keen on Facebook. Facebook is more like a mirror of what I post in other platforms. But I'm also on Bubble House, and now I'm on Coffee, which is going to be my primary platform going forward. I will be posting HD versions of things, full downloadable versions of files with like layers so you can look at. That's going forward. And some freebies are going to be available there, so check that out. That's ko-fi.com/gibbygabs. But if not, you can always go to my website. It's gibbygabs.com. Links are there. Instructions and stuff on how to, or well, at least the schedule for my streams are there as well. But thank you for watching. Thank you for spending time with me. And I'll see you guys next week, Tuesday, for hopefully a music only